So today I'm going to talk a little bit about mashups. One of my favorite mashups is basically Eminem on top of Oops, I Did It Again by Britney Spears. It's the real Slim Shady, and he specifically has a line where he says, what, so you can sit me next to Britney Spears?
Why? You guys can just lie to get me here, so you can sit me here next to Britney Spears? Christina Aguilera better switch me chairs.
A great mashup. Doesn't just musically make sense. It takes what each song means, and the combination makes it something bigger than itself, right? That takes a certain amount of inspiration and genius that I can't teach. It's up to you to experiment. What I can show you is that process of experimenting, like finding what makes a possibly good mashup. The technical skill to actually do it, I feel you probably already have, because you need to know how to beat grid. You need to know how to identify the keys of songs, which we talked about last week. You need to be able to make loops out of beats so that you can find the parts of the songs that have no vocals on top of them, and then you can put on a new vocal on top of that. You put all of these skills together, and maybe you occasionally beat match, but it's a little bit less stringent than, say, beat matching two songs to make a transition, because vocals can be a little bit sloppy. You can be off a little bit, but if your keys are right, and if your loops are properly set, you can get away with a lot. But before that, I kind of want to show you how turntable DJs used to do it before all of that technology, because it was already possible. If you bought a 12-inch single, if you bought a CD single, very often one of those tracks of whatever song was on the front of the single will be an instrumental version of that same song. Occasionally, you would also get the acapella. It might be on side B, it might be the second track on side A, or something like that. Those are rare finds, but oh my god, they were extremely valuable to DJs, especially around the 90s. This was mostly made available to hip-hop DJs and R&B DJs. Instrumentals are a lot more common. There are a lot more official releases of instrumentals than there are official releases of acapellas. I was going to bring a bunch of my CDs into class today, and I noticed they all have instrumentals and none of them had real studio acapellas on them. Sometimes people call it percappellas, which is percussion and the vocals. And there's a lot of funny variants of that, but usually if it's just a vocal and maybe a very minimal instruments, it's something pella. You do very basic mashups to get from one song to another, basically just doing beat-matched blends, but because you're using an acapella and not the full song, you're just using the vocals. The way you're dropping things in is a little bit different, it's a little bit looser, so it's actually a little bit easier if you're musically inclined, and creates a very different kind of feel. So we've got a funk song by the Average White Band, which is a great title for a funk band. I think they're actually Scottish. They're like the funkiest Scottish band ever. I'll let you hear a little bit of the song, and then we'll loop what we've got. Actually, turn the volume up. So I'm going to play the tracks at their original tempo, and I'm going to make changes to sort of make things match up. In fact, I'm going to turn off master tempo so that you can hear me make changes. All right, you get the idea. This is what the song is like. Oh, oops. And then we hit a part that the audience can sing along to. And we just cut out. You cut out the previous song and bring in the next song. Both these songs are in the same key. Actually, all three songs are the same key. Oops. Hold on. So that was a mistake because I let the vocal of both songs play on top of each other. So let's try that again. And now we're into the next track. All right, that is the classic hip hop use of acapellas. It is just another blend, but it feels very, very different because there's no beat. It's difficult to dance to, but it's easy to sing to. And it was very much an audience interaction way of mixing. It's like you play a very well-known acapella that you expect most of the audience already knows the words to, and then you let people sing along. And then while they're singing, you drop in the next beat of the next song, and if people recognize that, then they go crazy, right? They may continue singing along, but the whole idea is that combination of two things that you already recognize, but that you may not have heard on top of each other. This song doesn't start on the grid, right? Let's hear the beginning of that. Well, I try. Try is the one, right? So, and guess is also on the one. And that starts to help you figure out the beat grid. Now, of course, in the 90s, they had no beat grids. They had no visual screen for people to look at. But that's the timing. The beat matching that folks will do in their headphones will be looking for these one words. So they'll be hearing something like, a beat like that, and then trying to beat match the. It's still beat matching, but because there's no beat on the acapella, you can be a little bit loose. You've got flexibility. It's not nearly as hard as trying to match two beats to each other. You don't have to be quite as precise. Because the acapella vocals are not that precise, you kind of have to make all of these changes on the fly. You have to sing these verses in your head to be able to sort of know when to drop things in. Depending on how familiar you are with that acapella, that can be more difficult, or that could be easy. If it's a song that you're already very familiar with, then it's probably much easier. And then you start experimenting. All right, I have this acapella. In the 90s, you wouldn't have many acapellas to play with. You just have those few rare records where the producers thought it's okay to release the acapella. You figure out the key of that, and then you just try it with different beats. So if you've got that vocal, then you start finding other songs that are in that key and in that tempo. Or if they're not in that tempo, after you've matched up the tempo, they become in key. And then you try to see, does this work? Does it not work? Does this work with the vibe of that acapella? So, let's hear this. This is easy because there's no music, there is no harmonic information in the original track. Now there's a guitar. That's kind of interesting. It's a little bit, it's the right key, but the vibes are not, I don't know. Is this working for you? Some people are vibing to it. Yeah, okay. So this one's interesting because this is in C. Remember when we were talking about relative minors and relative majors, the original vocals in A minor. The instrumentation I bring in is in C. It is the relative major of that minor. It's using all of the same notes, but it has a different home base. This one starts the home base is in A. This one, the home base is in C, but this is A minor and C. And if you remember that ring that I showed, C and A minor are directly adjacent. So, okay, say I was transitioning out of the previous song using this a cappella, and then we use that to drop in Outcast. You know what? Let me try EQing out Mr. Jackson. Let's try that. So this is the experimentation that you have to do. That worked a lot better. I had to jump into the hook, but you know, that worked pretty well. And to accomplish that, I had to EQ the intro of Miss Jackson. Because Andre 3000, who's speaking over the intro, I have to turn down the mids so that he's not speaking over the sung vocals of the a cappella. So this is the experimentation process. I would like y'all to actually try to do something like this over the weekend because it's fun. For no other reason than it's fun. If you actually find a great combo, it's very distinctive. It will make your set sound very different from other people if you can find a great combo, because you'll be probably drawing from songs that you know very well. You'll be using rhythms or instrumentals that you know very well, and it might not occur to other people to put those things together. I have this link, Acappellas for You, added to Canvas. If you go down to the music downloads, it's a great source for free Acappellas. It's not the fastest website. It is entirely community supported. You need to sign up for an account to be able to get it. The legality of this website is very much not. Many of the acapellas are basically processed vocals from the recordings that you might already have. Only they've taken the time to processing to sort of clean things up a little bit. So for instance, where there are no vocals, they'll just like mute the part. And then where there are vocals, they'll do their best to sort of process all of the instruments out of it. So in a way, it's very much like what DJ software is now capable of doing in real time, only someone's actually had the time to sort of like clean up the bits that don't sound perfect in real time.